Okay, so what we have here is a Japanese electric guitar from the 1960s. This is a Segova guitar, not to be confused with Segovia, who would spin in his grave if anybody ever put his name on an electric guitar. But it's kind of an interesting instrument. The owner won it in a radio station contest in the late 60s. And it just sat in her basement that whole time. Since then, never have been in a case. Apparently never been played. Never had the strings changed. So I would guess that this thing is about 50 years old. And if she's right that the strings were never changed, that's pretty remarkable that this thing has the original strings on it and they have not turned to dust. So anyway, some of the features of this guitar, as I said, it's a Segova. It's got a Fender style headstock. Back in the late 60s, Japan was cranking out electric guitars as fast as they could to meet the craze associated with rock and roll and the Beatles and the Stones. Every kid wanted to learn how to play guitar and be in a band and all that stuff. So this is one of those low-cost, budget Japanese guitars. So anyway, it's a solid wood guitar. It's got one single coil pickup. You have a volume knob and a tone knob. It has a metal pickguard, which is kind of unusual. But the most unusual thing about this guitar, in my opinion, is this floating bridge here. This is the type of bridge that you typically see on hollow body archtop jazz guitars. So the steel bridge here is mounted on a wooden a piece of wood that simply rests on top of the guitar. So once I take the strings off, and I should be able to remove this bridge completely. It's not attached to the body at all. And then we've got the tail piece, which is screwed in with 6 screws here. If we flip it over, we'll see that, of course, it's a bolt-on neck. It's got 4 screws here. Fender style bolt-on neck. So the only thing I've done to this guitar so far, you can see it's still dusty and dirty. The only thing I've done is tune it up a little bit, and we'll just plug it in here. So I've tuned it. So you can hear it's in tune, and the strings have not broken yet. The one thing that's glaring about it, other than the fact that the action is pretty high, which means the strings are high off the fretboard, is that the intonation is way off. So you can see the intonation is way sharp. If I go down a half step, it's flat, but it's closer to being correct. Which means this bridge is way out of adjustment. So what I'm going to do is take off the strings, clean it up, put on a new set of strings, adjust the bridge, to get it so the intonation will be as good as I can get it. And then we'll come back and see what it looks like, see what it sounds like.